Tonight, not one, but two follow-ups to report, and the folks down at City Hall really deserve a big round of applause. Once again, they came through, responded immediately to a personal request from Action Line. Now, both complaints came from the same street in the West End. It was about the middle of July that the folks began screaming about this eyesore at 38 Wabash Avenue. A building abandoned for a long time had nearby merchants and homeowners frantic. It was a potential tinderbox, wide open, used almost every night as a haven for precocious youngsters and derelicts. Well, we notified the city's building inspector's office. They ran a check, told us the owner had been notified last January, given 30 days to fix up or tear down. Well, since nothing was done, the city went out, they condemned the building, boarded it up, and at least it's some progress. Now that folks can at least sleep these nights. Just around the corner at 72 Wabash, a different problem was called to our attention. Just look at this, a pile of trash, furniture, clothing, all kinds of junk dumped on the sidewalk. We took film, we made many phone calls and waited for more than 2 weeks. When it wasn't cleaned up, we decided to air the film last Tuesday night, reporting it was a matter of civic pride and suggesting it was up to the city to find out who was responsible and to see that it was removed immediately. Well, it took just about 12 hours, and this is how the sidewalk looked. All spick and span. Why, for the first time in weeks, folks could walk down the sidewalk. We want to say thank you. Sometimes we wonder why it takes a public airing to have these problems corrected. But then I suppose that's what Action Line is really all about. Other American families, they will live daily with those haunting 3 words, missing in action. We have more tonight on that pharmacy board ruling that will go into effect September 1st. Now, as of that date, not even a diabetic will be able to purchase hypodermic equipment without a written prescription from a physician. Now, since diabetics must have insulin injections in order to live, this is going to present a real hardship, particularly on those who don't have a family doctor or can't afford an office visit in order to obtain a prescription. According to Marianne Varmecki, the ruling may force many patients into the hospital emergency room.
The people out there in our audience might be interested in knowing that a sampling taken of all of the Pittsburgh hospitals, we find that you probably won't get out of the emergency room with less than a $30 fee. And if your blood test, if they take a blood test, which they probably will, turns out to be in the normal range, for instance, does not show excess sugar, you may not even get your insulin shot, and you may be dead several hours later because of this.
Marianne, since most of our neighboring states do not have a similar regulation, what about people traveling into Pennsylvania from out of town? What do they do if they need a hypodermic needle for insulin?
What happens to a person who finds himself in this condition, I really would hesitate to say. All he can do is hope to find a doctor in our area who will treat him, or he can go to the emergency rooms and pay that money if he has the money to pay it. And if he has the time whereby his schedule is not set up that he must have a shot within a 24-hour period, if he has some leeway until then.
It can be a matter of life and death,
That's right, it can be.
So what's the answer? Well, Marianne suggests that anyone sharing her concern write to the Pennsylvania Pharmacy Board and ask that that ruling be rescinded. Or you can contact your state representative and ask that legislation be introduced that would exclude diabetics from this kind of ruling. In fighting the problem all alone. Maybe you've wondered just what Action Line is really all about. Well, over the years, it's been a lot of things. Sometimes it fills potholes or gets stop signs or streetlights. Sometimes it solves traffic problems and parking dilemmas. Then it also has a human, gentle side, too, like the time it helped a little girl who needed surgery to correct a protruding ear, or the time it got heat and water for the elderly invalid lady living alone. Oh, there are other times that it handles mudslides or motorbikes or moves statues, or finds aid for a lady stranded in our town with no money and 3 children. It's been a lot of fighting City Hall and untangling bureaucratic red tape in Harrisburg and Washington. All in all, it's been challenging, rewarding, and very fulfilling. Therefore, I have rather mixed emotions tonight as I turn the Action Line department over to a dear friend. Yes, as of now, Action Line has a new ear, a new helping hand, Here is your Action Line reporter, Wayne Van Dyne. So the name is Wayne and the number 323-1717.
I have to remember that, Eleanor. I've watched with great interest and admiration the way you've handled the Action Line, and I'm looking forward to the assignment a great deal. But I'm particularly looking forward to the noon news, which will now feature Eleanor Schano along with Bob Cochran.
So I'll be here tomorrow at noon, and from now on, you have a problem, you call Wayne Van Dyne.
What was that number again?
323-1717.
But find a place that they don't have to go, be combined with the smaller kids.
A spokesman for the Board of Education assured Action Line that the pregnant teenagers will be totally segregated from the elementary school students. Furthermore, you might be interested to know that in order to keep those girls at Rosalia, the Pittsburgh School Board would be paying $125,000 in rent to the Catholic Diocese of Pittsburgh. So the move was actually one of economic necessity.
Now poor Don Quixote has been dragged onto the screen and into one of the most disappointing musical movies I have ever seen. I was looking forward to the performance of Peter O'Toole as Cervantes' hero, but that fine actor has been misdirected in the role, and he's even been robbed of the extraordinary plasticity of his face by wretched masking makeup. And considering his musical voice, I wish there had been a way to make him an unsung hero. As for Dulcinea, Sophia Loren is surely gorgeous, but this role as a young, fiery kitchen wench is not for her, and she wins my prize as miscast of 1972. Even technically, La Mancha is a nuisance. Some of the camera work seems to have been done by a man on a pogo stick. Often the illusions are destroyed by enormous close-ups that are a dermatologist's dream. The lovely simplicity of the drama, its romanticism and sentimentality, its bravery and heartbreak have all been drained away and replaced with a clomping, overstuffed bigness. Director Arthur Hiller and his associates have turned the memory of the impossible dream into a humdrum reality. I'm Gene Shalit.
Selfishly, I appreciate that review because among all of my friends who have seen that, and I saw it, I agree with Gene, and they all disagree. At least I've got somebody on my side now. Henry Kissinger is coming back to Washington. It was learned late this morning that his plane is scheduled to leave Orly Field in less than an hour from now. Earlier today, Kissinger and Late Octo held what may be the last session in the final series of talks. The men talked